Sam sent me this week. She said, hey, this would be a good devotional thought. I said, I said, that is exactly what I've been writing on this week. So an umbrella cannot stop the rain, but it allows us to stand in the rain. Faith in God may not remove our trials, but it gives us the strength to overcome them. That's the faith of Job. That is the faith that we see in Job 1 and 2, and then towards the end of the book as well. Will you? The title there, Will You? Verses 1 through 5, Job is the man in the East. He's it. He's that guy. He's blessed with children. He's blessed with herds. He's blessed with servants. And he's upright. He's blameless. He's righteous before God. He not only has his ducks in a row, they are well dressed and they march in step. He has everything in line. And everybody knows it. Satan knows it. God knows it. And the chapter starts out with this little biography about him. And you're thinking, man, I want to be like that guy. It doesn't take long in the chapter to figure out, I may want to be like him, but it's not in the way I thought at the beginning of the story. And he's this Noah type God. He has a faith that is not only an umbrella that allows him to withstand the trials, he has an umbrella faith that extends to his family. Remember, the only one in Genesis 6 about whom it is said he found favor in God's eyes is Noah. Everyone else that gets on the boat get to get on the boat because of him. Job's kind of that guy. This is that early patriarchal time, and you can debate the writing of the book or the time frame that's being recorded. It may be before the flood, it may be right after the flood, but it is a time when individuals made personal sacrifice. There's not a Levitical priesthood. You're not going to someone else to serve as your priest before God. And so we think of maybe Cain and Abel. We think of Abraham. But you could also make sacrifice for others. And Job is that kind of father. Man, my kids have been together for a week. They have been celebrating, and maybe their minds just were not right for a little while, and so I'm going to make a sacrifice, and I'm going to consecrate them just in case. He's described as blameless. It's not sinless, it's blameless. He is in a right relationship with God so that there is nothing that God has to lay to his account. He's upright. He fears God. He has the right mindset about his Creator. And he turns away from evil. He doesn't even entertain it. He's rock solid. And he is a stand-up guy with bank. He has wealth running out of his ears. He is ritually fastidious. Every detail in his life is lined up because he fears God. Because he reveres God. He awes God. He holds God in the proper mindset. Not because, and this is going to come into play, not because he's wealthy, not because God has a hedge around him, not because God blesses him, but because he has already made up his mind who God is in his life. And then we get to verses 6 through 12. And in verses 6 through 12, we are reintroduced to the one that we know to be Satan. But here he's actually referred to as the Satan. There is a definite article there in the Hebrew. The adversary, the accuser. And he finds this laughable. He finds Job's faith to be laughable because he thinks it's shallow. He thinks it is because of what God has done for him that he continues to stick by God. And so God is holding court. The sons of God have come in before him. So you have a time of reporting, basically. And the accuser walks in. So there is a time being described when Satan has access to God. He has access to God to ask for an opportunity to test someone. He has access to God to ask for what we're going to see, the ability to use natural things to bring about some destruction in our world. And notice when he walks into this court, when he walks into the presence of God, nothing has changed. The fall of Satan did not humble him. He is arrogant. He is accusatory towards God. He is accusatory towards Job. He is disrespectful. He is irreverent. So God calls him on it. Where have you been? You know, it's not that God doesn't know. God knows. He just wants to hear Satan admit it. Where have you been? Oh, I've been doing Satan things. I've been doing what I do day in and day out. I've been prowling about on the earth. I've been roaming. I've been looking around. That's that 1 Peter 5 and verse 8 idea. He's prowling like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. God knowing his heart, God knowing what has to transpire, God having a plan, God said, well, what did you see while you were out there? Did you see my boy? Did you see Job? What do you think about him? And the disrespect continues. You can hear the mockery dripping from his lips. Please, God, you got to be kidding me. Does Job fear God for nothing? And then he continues talking because it's a rhetorical. Of course he doesn't fear God for nothing. You've given him everything he could ever want. You've given it to him hand over fist. You have a hedge around him. I can't get to him. Nobody's touching his things. He has blessings on every side. He is well paid for his allegiance. He is not serving you for nothing. But if you let me touch him, if you let me take some of his things away from him, he's going to curse you to your face. And by the way, I may not mention it later on, but file away the way he says that, curse him to his face, and then the way Job's wife says, curse him and die. Very, very similar language. The Persians, the Assyrians, they had secret agents. And they would send them about and they dressed like everybody else and they would look for dissidents in their nations. That's this word, the accuser, the Satan. It's one who would act as a prosecuting attorney. It's one who was a political foe. It was one who would bring charges against someone else in court. And Satan is taking on that role. He is bringing charges against Job, and he is bringing charges against God. And he is insulting, and he is arrogant, and he is out to destroy a good man. Let's pause for just a second for an explanation. Job's friends, when they arrive on the scene in chapter 3, and much of their world and our world operate under a belief in what is called the retribution principle. Basically, it means if you are righteous, you prosper. And if you are wicked, you suffer. And so they would look at the evidence. He is wealthy, therefore he must be righteous. He's broke, he must be wicked. Now, on a national level, understand the time is going to come when the covenant's given, the law is given, that yes, God does institute some measure of that retribution principle. He tells Israel, obey me and I'll bless you. Disobey me and I'll curse you. Obey me and you can keep your land. Disobey me and I will kick you out. On an individual level, notice the timing of Job's life prior to that covenant. That idea on an individual level is already in place. To many, it is the only way for God to show Himself just. Think about where they're at in their understanding. They have a limited view of an afterlife. They have a limited view of eternal reward and eternal punishment. So in their minds, God's justice has to be executed in this lifetime. And it's executed by blessings or cursings, rewards and punishments in this life that are proportional to righteousness and to wickedness. The book of Job destroys that theory. The book of Job destroys the theory that if I am good, God has to bless me. And if I am wicked, I will suffer every form of destruction possible. Because Job is the epitome of righteousness. And he is about to lose it all. So the book of Job disproves the theory of retribution being related to righteousness every time, or wickedness every time. And we know that he is the epitome of righteousness, not because the text tells us, but because God vouches for him and tells us that 2 times. He backs up what's being written. So Job's life becomes a perfect example of what we read last week in John 9 and verse 1. Jesus, who sinned that this man was born blind? Did his parents sin? Did he sin? Nobody sinned. It had absolutely nothing to do with wickedness. So as the story progresses, Job maintains his integrity. Job defends his innocence. And so at the end of the book, problem resolved. God delights in rewarding righteousness. He takes very seriously the need to punish, but there is no guarantee it will happen in this life. God functions outside of physical time. So He can reward and punish outside of this earthly life. So the book of Job destroys the theory. Sometimes the good suffer. Sometimes the wicked prosper. Now, there's something else going on at this time. And this is, to me, the funniest part of the story. In our text, specifically with the question, does Job serve God for nothing? Satan knows that the theory of retribution is wrong. So he has cooked up his own theory. And his theory is that the righteous serve only because God blesses them. In his mind, the blessings are coming first, and so the righteous are following the blessings, and it is connecting them to God. And as long as those blessings are there, they stay there. But when the blessings are gone, they move away. But the funny part about it is, not only is he going to disprove the retribution principle, he is also going to disprove his own theory at the same time. But he challenges God. He's standing in his court, and the arrogance and the disrespect are flowing out of him, and he challenges God. Take away the blessings. The faith of Job will crumble. Remove the hedge. Remove it from him. Remove it from his family. remove it from his blessings. Just give me a shot at him, and I can get him to curse you. And so God plays along. And poof, it is gone. Did you listen carefully as Randy read? A servant came in and said, hey, it's gone. Servants are dead. While he was still speaking, I'm Job, and I'm in a conversation about the loss of all of my donkeys, some financial ruin. And another servant, hey Job, they got the camels too. And while he is still speaking, before those first three get done, what? He's broke. All the animals in the field are gone. And then, Job, all your kids are gone. While he was still speaking. This all takes place in a poof. In a moment in time. I don't want to be Job anymore. It's all gone. In just a matter of minutes. And yet the text says, to disprove Satan's theory, Job arose and tore his robe, shaved his head, fell to the ground. So there are the outward signs of sorrow. He is lamenting his losses. And if you write in your Bible, this is where you put the underline. This is where you take out the yellow highlighter and you highlight it, and then you draw an asterisk next to it, and you circle it, and you draw an arrow to it. And worshiped. Satan, I can take everything away from him and he will curse you to your face. Try it. All right, I took everything away from him. God, I bow before you and I worship you as God. Naked I came from my mother's womb, naked I shall return there. This does not affect my life. The Lord gave, the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And through all of that, he did not sin, nor did he blame God. Faith that is totally separated from the physical blessings God had given him. So they have the same conversation again. God's holding court. Satan comes back in. All right, God, let me alter my theory a little bit. It must be the physical well-being of the righteous that anchors him. That's the only reason you would have kept that from me, God, right? That's the only reason I couldn't touch him, is because you know that's when he's going to fall. So let me touch him. God says, okay. I'll play along. Take his health. You can go all the way up to the point that you can't take his life, but you can go all the way up to that point if you want it. Poof. His health's gone. He is sitting in the dirt with a broken piece of pottery, scratching the boils. Remember the boils in Egypt? It gets so bad that the magicians won't even come out and present themselves before Pharaoh and Moses. Job is miserable. His health is gone. His wife is going to tell him to curse God and die, and he stands his ground. He keeps his faith. He defends God. Are we allowed to receive good but not evil? Is he allowed to do that? No. Hush, woman. My faith's intact. And he doesn't sin with his lips. Satan's theory has crumbled. And his friends are going to side with Satan. They're going to side with that retribution theory. Hey, you had to have done something wrong. Just fess up. I want you to connect that to he never sinned with his lips. He does not confess something that he did not do. He does not lie to try to bring this to an end. Job was willing to serve God for nothing physical. So the question resonates today. It's just a little bit reworded. Will I serve God for nothing? Individually. If I wake up tomorrow and it is gone, I am financially destitute. My children are gone. My goats are gone. Does it change anything? What if he gets my health too? What if I'm sitting in the doctor's office and I get the terminal diagnosis, or I'm sitting in the street scratching with a broken piece of glass? Does my relationship to God change? Is it based on the fact that, hey, look at the lives we live? There's a pretty good hedge around most of us. We eat well, we sleep well, we turn the air conditioning on when we want it, we turn the heat on when we want it, we get in our nice little cars and we drive where we want to go. What if it's gone? Do I bow before God and say, hey, I got here naked and I'm leaving naked. God, it's yours. I'm good. What about nationally? Ooh. What if tomorrow, hey, 4th of July is rolling up on us. What if it's all gone? We are the most blessed nation in the world and have been for 249 years. This Friday. We've outlived most of the great nations in our history. So what if it's gone? What if it falls? What if we're suddenly servants to another power? And we do not get to choose when we go out and when we come in. And we get told, like Daniel, you're not going to pray anymore. Does it change my faith suddenly? Does it crumble? Do I serve God because He is good to me? Another way of thinking about the same theory is, do I serve only out of a fear of punishment? Well, I don't necessarily serve Him because He's good to me, but man, I think I'm going to serve just to stay out of hell. Or I'm going to serve just so that nothing bad happens to me. Do I have a transactional relationship with God where I do X and He does Y? And that's the only reason the relationship works in my mind. Or do I serve Him because He's God? Solely based on who He is. Do I serve Him because He is sovereign? Because He sits on the throne and He has the right, as Job said, to give and to take away at His whim? Do I serve because He's Creator? He made me in His image and that is all I need. Look, sometimes we suffer because of our decisions. Sometimes we suffer because of mistakes. Sometimes we suffer because we sin. Sometimes it has absolutely nothing to do with that. It did in the case of Job. He is suffering outside of those things. And we don't understand it. So from the whirlwind, God answers Job. And this is why Job serves God for nothing. And I'm just going to summarize that whirlwind because there's a lot of that conversation and that give and take. I created everything, said God. I have it all under control. I can do with it what I want to. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the world? I am. Even when you do not realize it, I am. And so you must trust me no matter the circumstances in which you find yourself. And before they even got all of that worked out, Job had said in chapter 19 and verse 25, I know that my Redeemer lives. And at the last, he's banking on something beyond this world. At the last, he will take his stand on the earth. Paul said it this way in 1 Timothy 1, 8 through 4, and we sang it. I know whom I have believed, and I am convinced that he is able to guard what I have entrusted to him until that day. What did he entrust to him? Paul said, I bow before him and I commit this. I commit who I am for him to guard it, for him to protect it, for him to bless it eternally. Anything beyond that in this world is gravy on my biscuit. We say icing on the cake, but I don't like the icing on the cake, but I love biscuits and gravy. So anything beyond him taking care of my soul is gravy on my biscuit. It's the blessing. It's the extra stuff. Let's get ready to close. In Job 42, after the question and answer period is over, Job says, you know what, God? I kind of spoke out of turn. I didn't sin, but I really was talking about, well, I didn't know what I was talking about. So let me retract it and let me bow down before you and worship. Now watch this. Watch this. So cool. Watch this. In dust and ashes. I don't have anything to give to you, God. Nothing has been returned to him yet. The returning is going to take place right after this. He has nothing to give God except himself in dust and ashes. And he said, that's what I give you. I don't have anything to offer, but I'm going to serve you for nothing. I don't need anything. That is serving God for nothing. What about us? If it's all gone tomorrow, if you lose everybody you love, are you going to hold it against God? If you lose every blessing you have in this physical world, are you going to blame God? Or are you going to bow in dust and ashes and say, God, I'm yours? Which will it be as we stand and sing?